Alright, is Windows 11 truly as bad as people say it is? Well, this video is a bit different. You see here, normally I would at least semi-script my videos, but this is completely unscripted, okay? It's my thoughts and my experience, and I have a lot of experience with Windows 11. I've ran Windows 11 on high-end PCs that fully support it and run it perfectly, and I've also run it on some not-so-great PCs, like old Chromebooks or extremely old laptops. So yeah, let's just say I have a ton of experience with Windows and not Linux. So yeah, I have a lot of things to say about Windows 11. So first off, let's go ahead and start with, okay, so is the updates really that bad? Yeah, kind of. So you see here, there's a pause feature in Windows, okay? And it's not really that great. You see here, even when you pause the updates, they sometimes run the background, taking up a lot of your CPU horsepower. Especially if you have a slower CPU, yeah, you're not gonna have a fun time. Like a Celeron or something, yeah, not great. But yeah, the restarting randomly, like restart in 5 minutes, that only happens to enterprise computers, okay? Normal users running Windows 11, like Windows 11 Home or Pro, it's completely fine, okay? Like none of the restarting happens, but the background updates are annoying. So for updates, I'll say it's half true, okay? Windows does kind of shove updates down your throat, but only in the background, and you can barely notice it if you have a fast CPU. Alright, next up, we're going to talk about... Alright, so is the bloatware really that bad? Sort of. I'll say it's half true as well, because you see here, the bloatware isn't as bad as people say it is. Like, for example, on my old i3 370M, I said that thing ran Windows 11 perfectly, but it is still definitely bloated. For example, especially on a hard drive, Windows 10 sometimes is usable on a hard drive. Like, for example, after, you've loaded in all the programs, it's usable, but Windows 11 is definitely not usable on a hard drive. Especially if you have lower RAM amounts, yeah, you should definitely upgrade to an SSD. But in terms of other things like CPU usage, it's not the most bloated, because on the Athlon X2 laptop, when idling with no updates and, nothing running in the background, it idles at around 10 to 15% CPU. It's not great, but then again, that thing is from the Vista era, it's from 2008, so yeah, don't expect some good results from the Vista laptop. But yeah, overall, the bloatware situation, I'd say, is half and half, especially since the apps that come pre-installed, quote-unquote, in the start menu are really just shortcuts to install the app, so you can just unpin it. It's really simple. And yeah, I'd say as long as you use like a Tiny 11, for example, bloatware is perfectly fine, but if you use stock Windows 11, bloatware is half true. The bloatware news anyways. Next up, we have... Alright, so is the minimum system requirements for Windows 11 too high? Definitely. Like, holy crap. So Microsoft is saying that a Celeron N4000 dual core, because it technically is the oldest Celeron that supports, TPM and stuff like that, meets Windows 11's minimum system requirements, but then like an 18-core Xeon from the 7th generation of Intel can't run it because, oh no, it doesn't support TPM 2.0, even though it supports TPM 1.2 and secure boot. So yeah, that's complete BS, Microsoft. Like, why did you have to do that TPM stuff? No one's gonna listen, and we have already used workarounds. I mean, literally, I only have 3 out of my 15 computers that fully support Windows 11's minimum requirements, and they're all the really new ones. For example, the Pavilion 15, the $500 modern HP laptop, and my main desktop PC. So yeah, Windows 11's minimum requirements are complete BS, and you should use either Rufus or custom ISO like Tiny 11 to, help fix the problem. But anyways, last up we have... Alright, so in terms of the GUI compared to Windows 10, I can't really say much about it. You see here, the first ever Windows PC I have ever used, well, at least, ever used, a lot, is the Windows 11 modern HP laptop, okay? It came out right as Windows 11 came out, so it literally came out the very beginning of Windows 11, so I missed Windows 10, unfortunately. But I did get to use Windows 10, on the Pavilion G6 for, a few months before I upgraded it to 11. And yeah, honestly, Windows, I mean, I can't really say much considering, I started with Windows 11 and I'm used to Windows 11, but I can definitely see how people would get annoyed at like the center start menu thing, like it is definitely going to be very annoying. For example, it would annoy me if the start menu got moved to the left again, like it did in older Windows. But yeah, that's why they add the left start menu feature. So yeah, props to Microsoft for doing that. Okay, that's a pretty nice thing that they did there. You know, just so not everyone would be annoyed. And yeah, that's pretty good feature. And honestly, I would say in terms of the GUI changes, the GUI for Windows 11 is definitely extremely laggy. Okay, like it's definitely very bloated. Like the amount of transparency and fancy animated effects, even when you disable them, like as many as you can, there's still a lot, okay? And it's definitely not as fast as Windows 10 is. Like Windows 10 with the Metro, or whatever it was called, the new UI design that came from Windows 8, it was definitely really quick and really responsive compared to Windows 11. Especially if you watch those videos where they run Windows 11 on an i9 14900K and it still lags in the start menu. Yeah, not great. Not great. But yeah, guys, anyways, that's my opinion, okay? Your opinion could be completely different. Now, not 100 likes, 10 likes on this video, and I'll make a video talking about my experience with Linux, because even though I don't have much, I definitely do have some, and it's not definitely the best experience. Oh man, I still have PTSD from spending like 3 hours trying to figure out how to add swap. Yeah, let's just say I don't really have fond memories of Linux. But yeah, guys, anyways, 10 likes or more and I'll do a Linux video, okay? But yeah, guys, anyway, see you in the next video, okay? This was definitely an interesting one since it wasn't, like, as scripted. And yeah. But yeah, guys, anyway, see you in the next video, okay? Also, major volume warning ahead. Please turn down your volume, okay? But anyways, guys, see you in the next video, okay? Subscribe!